This is calling to order the Wednesday, May 12th, 2021 meeting of the Gig Harbor Arts Commission. Roll call first, Charlie Glock Jackson, Chair. I'll call your name and you say here. Samantha Kelly.
Here.
Lynn Stevenson.
Here.
Linda Sutherland. Yeah, I see you, Linda. I'm going to say here for you. And Dan Bosich, Jennifer Beard, and Robin. And Dan and Jennifer are excused, and we are hoping Robin will join us presently. So first on the agenda is approval of now 3 minutes, approval of 3 different minutes, starting with the minutes of April 14th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Quick point of order. I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't feel like I can comment or vote on that. So that means that we don't have a quorum for that vote.
That's very true. Thank you. We'll hold off on that one then. The special meeting on May 6th, that was the one in which
I also wasn't at that one.
You also weren't at that one. That's true.
Okay, I'm the bad one now.
I'll wag my finger at you. And how about yesterday? Was there a quorum at yesterday's meeting on site for those pilings?
I don't think so. I think we had 3, right?
There were 4 of us there.
Four. Yes.
That we don't have a
Record.
quorum. We don't have a quorum. Well, we're all 3 of you were there, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Well-
I don't think that I can vote on that one.
You want me to try and call Robin?
That would be nice, Molly. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So let's put our meeting minutes approval on hold temporarily, at least until we have enough people that can vote on them. And with no objections, we'll move on to old business. Old business number 1, Creative Endeavor second round grant update. As you mostly are aware, we had a wonderful interview with Larry Fowler, who is putting together this year's poetry readings and has some wonderful ideas, including a workshop for high school age poets. We unanimously awarded him and his project a $5,000 grant. That grant was approved our grant request was approved by City Council as part of the consent agenda at Monday's council meeting. And Molly, I believe you have sent him contract to sign. I know she has, and I've sent him a letter of congratulations. So I believe all we're waiting for is his signing the contract, and then he is good to go. Any comments on that? I'm pretty tickled that he's willing to make sure we have poetry this year, and I think his ideas are great.
I've been here. I just needed to be let in. So
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
I was having the same problem. I could see people, but I could see Molly, but that was all. So welcome.
okay. Anyway, I'm here.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so now let's go back and see if we can approve minutes then. We didn't have a quorum, Robin, we didn't have a quorum of enough people who had attended each meeting that we could actually vote on them. So the minutes. So let's go back to the minutes of the April 14th meeting. Were there any corrections or additions to that? And Samantha has already said she can't vote because she wasn't there. So the other 4 of us are responsible for approving these minutes. Is there a motion?
I cannot approve. I was not at yesterday's meeting, but I can approve the other 2.
Okay. So is that a motion then for
That's a
Um,
motion too. I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 14th and the special meeting, May 6th by Robin Ovney.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye, or raise your hand. I say aye.
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 Okay, I think we do have a quorum on that. We still don't have a quorum on yesterday's minutes.
Right.
Okay. So we'll just hold them in abeyance for, I guess, for June.
Right.
And it will, yeah, I think we'll need to have Jennifer available to approve those,
Right.
since she was the fourth one present at that meeting. Robin, we just reviewed the status of the Creative Endeavor second round grants.
Yep, I was here.
Okay, great. And so let's talk about the Harborview Stinson Sidewalk Art Project. Last we heard from Jeff Langhelm. With luck, that project could possibly start this fall. Molly, have we heard any updates from Jeff on that? Do you know?
Nothing concrete. I mean, they're still waiting on the sewer replacement
Mm.
project to find out how that's going to move forward. So I think it's still kind of on hold until we get the bids in on that and find out whether or not we can move forward on that.
Okay,
They just approved a contract to allow Josh Gilchrist, who left here and went to work for his old firm. We approved a contract for him to allow him to still work for the city as a contract employee. So we may be able to move ahead with some projects, whereas before we were dead in the water.
okay. That's good to know. Well, we'll just keep that on our list of to-do things then. And I think once we have a firm go-ahead on the project from Jeff, I think then we can proceed with our call to art. Meantime, I guess we could review it again. How does anyone feel about that? Should we wait until we have a firm go-ahead so we have maybe better direction, or should we think about trying to fine-tune the call for art?
I think we should wait till we have a go ahead. Yeah.
Agree.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Locks of Love update. Lynn, that's your project. Any?
Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of dead in the water, I think this project is not super well received by city staff. I heard back from Jeff Langhelm that, I bet I have visuals. Actually, I was just up there yesterday in that area where we were meeting about the pylons, and took a couple pictures of some of the locks that are attached to the bridge up there near the History Museum. Hey, Molly, are you able to show those?
Oh, is that what you sent me? I thought that was the pylons.
Did I say pylon? Did I say pylons?
I thought I looked at it and it was a picture of Lita Dawn holding something up on the concrete.
Okay. Oh, no. Okay, just today, just this morning, a little while ago, I sent you a couple photos of the love locks.
This is all I received. I don't believe I've gotten anything else from you. It's just a concrete. Let me check my email.
Okay. It was right before the meeting.
Here we go. Okay.
Come on.
No, that's not it. There we go. Can you see it now?
Yeah. There we
Yeah.
go.
So there's 2 pages that just show there's a close-up view of some of the locks that are there. And then the second page just gives you a sense. So there's locks running, all the way down the entire length of that bridge railing. That just illustrates kind of the problem, and the city will eventually go, people from the city will eventually go and cut all of those off of there. and there will inevitably be more that just keep showing up. So Jeff wrote me back and said, I quote, "I don't have an opinion on this, but I'm not receiving positive feedback from operations staff. They don't support this piece of art and would rather simply cut all locks off the Donkey Creek Bridge and elsewhere so as not to encourage littering. However, if the Arts Commission desires this to move forward, then I would suggest the Arts Commission make a formal request to the Parks Commission to have this sculpture placed in a public park." So that's the official word from Public Works. One of the issues I see, maybe, I don't know how, if these locks are still specifically meant to be attached over water. That's how this trend first started. That's why they're on a lot of bridges. If we just put a sculpture in a public park that's meant for these locks, doesn't have the same kind of symbolism. So unless it's a public park, unless it's like also over water. Like, I think at the entrance to the harbor, is that a public park? Does anybody know? I think that's considered a public park. You know, at the head of the,
Are you
head
talking?
of,
The old ferry landing?
yeah, the old ferry landing.
That, the
I
problem
don't
is
think,
the ferry landing itself has limited water access. You can't get down to the water. No, I don't think the Public Works guys, because it's gonna block the view.
Yeah.
It's parking down there is horrible. The neighbors don't like people. Yeah, I'm not sure that would be a good spot.
It's just when I think about, like, we can discuss this. Honestly, it was an idea. I'm inclined at this point to think it's not really worth it. The people who are most impacted, which is our public operations, they would prefer to not have a piece of art that encourages more of these things to be placed on it. They're just going to have to continually remove these locks. I'm sure it's a lot of work, but we should discuss it. You know, like Jeff said, if we as a commission would like to move forward with this idea of creating some kind of sculpture that these locks can be put on, then we can do that and then present it to the Parks Commission. I mean, I just wonder, still, even if we had a piece of artwork that's meant for these locks, I'm assuming people are still going to put them all these other places too. So I don't see it as necessarily a solution to this problem. So what do you guys think?
I agree with you. It seems to be fairly far down the list of problems that Public Works has to deal with, although I definitely, I understand that it's not what they want. I would wonder if we put some kind of an artwork, whether it was a fence like this or something else in a public park, then we would actually have a lot of liability, I think, and we would have to have a specific maintenance plan. It seems to me like it could get way more complicated than would be worth the effort. I don't know. What does anybody else think?
I'm sorry, I noticed that some of these are combination locks, but I thought the thing is you're supposed to go there with your lover, put the lock on together, and then throw the keys off the bridge into the water.
Yes, that's how it started. It's just become a free for all. It's just become I don't know, symbolism. It's lost its original meaning, and it's just evolved into whatever, right?
I'm worried about the pollution of the keys in Donkey Creek.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know if anybody realizes that the key was part of the original symbolism. And I don't know if people still do that as far as that kind of symbol. Yeah.
That's a cool one. Old antique.
Come on.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I agree with you, Lynn. I like the spirit of this idea, and I believe this started in Paris.
I think, yeah, it's gone
Yeah.
crazy there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bridge there that's covered in them, and I tried to get Mark to do it when we were in Paris years ago. We never lobster, but
Yeah.
I want, I love the idea. I also just wonder if we actually give them a place where they can put the locks, that encourages more locks, which is what I think the city's afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, this particular bridge over Donkey Creek is super strong. What happened all over Paris, actually, every bridge, everywhere that now it's just become everywhere someone can attach a lock. Has
Right.
locks attached to it. And the old bridges were certainly not meant to carry the weight of these, and it's tearing them apart. Public Works probably isn't super concerned about getting these locks removed quickly because it's a really strong structure. So who knows, they may decide to let them pile up and then one day just remove the entire grid and put a new one up. I don't know. Yeah. In the meantime, it sort of becomes its own artwork. It's, it just sort of creates that community artwork.
Yeah, it's
Sort of unintentionally, I think it's fun to just start thinking about ideas that are along these lines, where if we were going to create some kind of sculpture that encouraged public participation, it could be some other thing that people bring to it, I don't know. I don't have a clue what that is. People put up wish trees and you attach your prayer to it or your wish, or, so we could just keep it in mind. What I like is the idea of the public involvement, that it evolves and to become this other thing because of what people put on it. So,
yeah, I do too. Maybe far-fetched, but something like a big chalkboard someplace and chalk, and people can do graffiti on the chalkboard, or
yeah.
then of course then there could be high school
Yeah, I'm
kids.
sure the city would love that too, for us to encourage.
Right. And high school kids, like they did with one of the poetry readings,
Yeah.
bombing with obscenities and that kind of thing. So
Right.
never mind, it commands the erase.
Yeah, it just got me thinking, is there any other thing that people have that, but it's just something to keep in our back pockets for consideration later.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Something that allows public participation and inclusivity.
Right.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, so moving along to.
Do we need to take that off the agenda then?
Lynn, do you want it to stay on the agenda, or shall we take it off?
I think at this point, I think we should just remove it from the agenda, and everybody keep in mind, we can always bring something back up that's similar or the same if one day it makes sense that there's an appropriate time and place for that, we should bring it back up. But right now, it just seems like it would meet with a lot of resistance, and yeah, I'm okay with removing it from the agenda.
Okay. Sounds good. So let's move on down to number 4, the historic markers update. And I had another meeting yesterday, so I was not able to attend that. And oh boy, those are big. Do we have copies of the proposed text?
We do not have the proposed text yet because it's being reviewed by members of the Puyallup tribe, and they're reviewing it and they're going to get edits back to Dawn. That's Dawn Stanton right there. They'll because the text is being thoroughly reviewed, critiqued, edited, proofed by the tribe. And so they'll have edits back from them, I think, with this week. They were expecting to get some edits back this week. And then they'll make all those changes to the text. And, we told them we're anxious to actually see the text ourselves so we can circulate that to the rest of the commission.
Can I just add in here, and I want to choose my words very carefully. Linda and Dawn have spent years on this project. They've worked on it, they've researched it. I assume they were commissioned by someone to do this. They
No.
are incredibly proud and protective of this project. They have solicited and received feedback and approval from the stakeholders that I think were in the original scope of this project, which would be the tribe, as well as the mayor. I did not get the sense yesterday that they are actually open to, nor that they want additional feedback on this text. I think that's fine, but their offer for solicitation for feedback was met with a lot of defense. So I would not expect they want feedback from us on the text when we get it. I wish they had made it more clear yesterday because there was some contention. So I just put that out to the council. I don't think the text is coming to us for like edit and approval. I think it is just coming to us to vote on whether or not we want to pay money to install it. And then I will say one thing we didn't discuss yesterday. So Lynn, I don't know if this has come up in any other meeting. I do have a 25-year career in both producing historic interpretive content and researching how people consume it. And one of the things we absolutely did not discuss is whether or not the signage and the proposed installation is actually inclusive and ADA compliant. And so I would say before we approve any of our, city public dollars to install this, we need to make sure that it has gone through the protocol to ensure that the font, the size, the material, the sheen on that metal, the height it's installed, as well as the angle, because those pylons are at an angle. They're not straight up like the example we were looking at, that all of that is ADA compliant.
Yep.
At least for readability. And maybe that's already been addressed. But that was something that I want to make sure that we're in compliance before we spend public dollars.
That's awesome. No, I haven't addressed that with them. I only met with them the one other time prior. So, and as far as our involvement, I've hopefully made it clear to them, the Arts Commission is leading the project, and that what they're proposing is, their idea for how to execute this. I feel like they get because of the conversations I've had with them before, I feel like they get defensive about the text because they know that the text was written by and researched by Linda, but they really want the full buy-in and kind of ownership by the tribe, because we're discussing, tribal history and all that. And we're super, super sensitive right now to making this about the tribe. And so from my perspective, we can completely discuss the text, recommend edits or changes or concerns. And there are ways to do that without changing the content itself, the intention of the text. So I would say, yeah, if there's nothing wrong with like submitting any kind of, we're going to review the text for sure. And I think that we should, if you have concerns or suggestions or anything, should be put on the table for that. You know what I mean? I think that's what this is about collective cooperation. But I wouldn't hold back just because I think they're super protective of the tribe and that story. And I have never been involved with the tribe, but they know for sure the sensitivities and how history has been told or edited and left out. And they're very committed to making this something the tribe will be super proud of. So I feel like that's where that immediate resistance came up. Like, you know, I feel like as long as the intent and the content and the message can stay the same, there are probably ways to make it a little more user-friendly. And certainly, you know, the inclusivity, ADA compliant, absolutely, 1000%. I mean, whatever the Arts Commission can bring to making this project better, we should do.
Samantha, I would answer one of several of your questions. They had no authorization from anyone to do this. This is an Arts Commission project. It's been an Arts Commission project on our work plan for several years. And they simply kind of came out of the blue and volunteered because of their involvement in the separate honor project. Had the idea that, oh, these pilings are available. Let's tell the tribal story on this. Originally, the pilings were going to tell, the story of the 5 areas where they're placed, what the historical significance of that particular placement is. The Donkey Creek one, for example, talking about why Donkey Creek got its name and so forth. The idea to use them to tell the Puyallup story came just very recently. And although I absolutely think that's a good thing to do, I am sort of insistent, if you will, that this project is an Arts Commission project. We're in charge of it. We have the final say in everything. We're representatives of the city. We're paying for it. And I've been a little frustrated in trying to get copies of the text, simply because it is our project. I'll also tell you that I had a conversation with Stephanie Lyle this morning, and several of these pylons are either on or immediately adjacent to museum property. And the museum board of directors has every right to also review this copy, and they will require white paper documentation for anything that's included on it. And Samantha, I have a feeling that you understand this, having been involved in this sort of thing. So with all due respect to Dawn and Linda, this is not going to be their project, and it's not going to be just their copy, because now the museum is asking to see it. And if these are on museum property, they're the museum's responsibility, and the museum has every right to want to see it, and they certainly should see it, and it's disrespectful if we're excluding them. So, and I did not realize this earlier, or I would have really strongly recommended that Stephanie Lyle and museum staff be involved in this from square one.
Yeah,
So,
and just to clarify, Jennifer was there yesterday, but Jennifer doesn't have that museum background knowledge of like the content for the museum. And so she raised a couple of red flags, but she, even as an arts commissioner, wouldn't be able to represent the museum in that level of, I mean, I think she's amazing. I'm not disparaging her, but but she was very clear that's not her realm.
yeah, and that's very appropriate for her, for her, that's a very appropriate position for her. Also, Samantha, you raised a really good point about ADA compliant. Out of curiosity, does that include Braille?
So I think I mean, I am not an ADA compliant expert, but I have been on the receiving end of things we've produced in various museums I've worked on that weren't ADA compliant. And this is, if it's a city project and this was a city museum, it could be a huge lawsuit. That being said, it's outside. So I don't know if this gravel path even has to be ADA compliant, but there are certainly recommendations for height, angle, scale. The sheen of the metal could be an issue. And I'll just say, like, there were 4 pretty able-bodied women there. I mean, some of us had glasses on, and at least 2 of us verbally complained about the size of the text. And this was on a white paper with black text, which is more compliant than a metal, like sheen on sheen situation. So I don't have the expertise to speak to that, but I do know that there are guidelines for font, size, scale, sheen. And when I say sheen, I even mean like the contrast between foreground and back, letters and background.
Right.
Probably all know this from the state commission too. You probably have the legal background. But also the height of it probably needs to accommodate somebody sitting and somebody standing. I don't know. I've never produced anything this big on an outside thing. So, and that pylon is at an angle, it's not a perfectly vertical surface.
Those are really good points. And I think that it behooves us to learn what compliance is and then follow those guidelines. The city spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a couple years ago to redo all the curbs in the sidewalk curbs in the vicinity of City Hall and elsewhere throughout the city to bring them into ADA compliancy. So, and I recall that when the little rolling kind of kiosk in the lobby of the Civic Center that points, it's kind of a little map that points directions to police department is this direction, planning department is this direction, administration is upstairs. We included Braille in that design. So, and I don't remember that it was a requirement, but the artist recommended and the city agreed that putting those directions in Braille was important.
I don't think for interpretation, Braille is required.
Yeah.
I would say if we were going to interpret it in anything, we should interpret all of them into Lashitsi, but that's a whole other thing. And I'm not actually recommending that. So that is an observation, not a recommendation.
Right. There's also a project that I was involved in decades ago of symbolic masks that were bronze masks that were installed in the theater district in downtown Tacoma. And I wrote little haiku-like verses for each one of them describing what that mask symbolized. And the Arts Commission that I was working with at that time, we and they agreed that those should be in Braille also. So even if it's not an ADA requirement, it seems to me a friendly kind of thing to do, but that's.
Well, they are really long and would require a whole separate panel.
Yeah, right.
They're really long.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. And not even having been able to be at the meeting or seen the text, just looking at the size of those, I would say that there needs to be some significant editing of verbiage. Just to hold people's attention and their ability to comprehend. So, and Linda, I appreciated your asking about QR code. We've long talked about that, and I think that that's a very important thing. Whether it's a QR code or whatever the current version of QR code is, I think that's key to this project and is a reason why we can have the text edited to be much more reader friendly, because then we can direct the reader to a much fuller story, much richer story elsewhere. And I would be very surprised if the museum would not be willing to host that information. So whatever we do to move forward with text, I have promised Stephanie Lyle that the museum will be part of the review process. So any other discussion on this?
The only thing that I would add, it was brought up, and I think Jennifer, maybe it was you, Linda, I can't remember, yesterday, mentioned, is there an option to put like sign 1 of 5 or, like a symbol or somehow to like know, because these pylons, I don't know if you just happened upon one that you would ever know that there were 4 other ones of these anywhere. But some sort of indication that if you are so inclined, you could look for the other ones.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I feel like the QR code for extra interpretation, and then also like, hey, you might not want to read all these right now, but there are other ones. I know that detracts from the clean aesthetic that was presented to us yesterday, but there is something about if we are actually trying to create an inclusive interpretation of this history, making sure that folks know it's not just one sign.
I don't love the idea of numbering because that sort of implies there's an order to them, and I feel like each one of these can stand alone. If you're in certain parts, well, especially where those first 3 are, I think you can see other from when you're at one sign, you can see there's at least one other one or two. So there's this feeling that, oh, this visually continues, but I don't know about numbering them since
But
they're
maybe
not.
we can make them as a series anyway, put some kind of annotation on there that it says that this is part of the story and there's other ones somewhere else or something. You don't need to number them per se, but you could surely say, if you want to read more, I don't know, something like that. You don't have to include numbers.
Yeah. So I should say, Mayor Kuhn also has a project down that's happening down in that park where he's using some of the existing signage to replace with updated signage, and it would include I think an illustration or map of art and information that's throughout the park, and it would include sort of showing where these pylons are for someone who is interested in exploring the various information that's involved right in that estuary area. So there would be more specific information in that one spot that includes everything in there, so it would tell people, but that's just one place.
Well, I think we could just say this is one of 5 pylons that tell this story, and each pylon could say this is just one of 5 pylons, rather than say number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4.
Okay. And that's the other tricky thing. This is presented as 5 stories, but using only 4 of those pylons, because there is a 5th pylon, but it's way down in Donkey Creek Park. So it was separate enough from these 4, which are kind of clustered in the Austin Park and behind the museum. So there is a 5th pylon if we wanted to add some signage to that as well.
So does one of the pylons have 2 plaques on it?
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
On 2 different opposite sides. Yeah.
This is Robin. I wasn't there and, not fully, I've been following this project along, let's just say that, but I haven't been engaged in it as a member of the community or the committee. But a few things pop out. I do think we need to identify that there are others. So I think there's a few solutions. 2, I do agree with some other method like a QR code like Linda suggests. And I guess my overall comment is nobody's going to read all of that. That it's way too much text to put on any sort of monument. And I know we're trying to tell a complete story, but we can't tell a complete story on a monument. We have to give a teaser or a headline or a synopsis of what that story is, and encourage people to either download, we could create a PDF download that people could do at the site and read more if they're interested. But to me, by putting that much on a pylon, you take over the monument itself. And I just feel like nobody's going to stand there and read all of that.
No.
And you're going to lose the special magic that each of those pylons holds. So that's
Hey, there's just two comments I want to make, Robin. There's at Fort Worden, they brought this up at the meeting yesterday. There are those similar silhouettes, I guess, with poems on them or something. And there's a whole bunch of them standing in one area. So people actually do that, but I don't know if they're going to do that on the pylon. But the other thing is, I think we need to put in our amend the minutes to say that there was discussion about the numbering or something like that. But that's my two comments.
Yeah. I mean, it might be like in estuaries or like parks, like they have a big sign that tells the story, right? That's not on the monument itself. And then you could go for more information and then just kind of have a nod on each of the pylons. But to me.
Okay, I have a comment about that.
Mhm.
I am not one of those people that would stand and read all of this, but I would stand there and get the gist of it. Psychologically, what these things tell you when you see all of that text there is that, wow, there is way more to this story. There is way more history there than I realized. Even if that's the message, like there's a whole lot of story that can be told here. And if we just put a QR code for more, if there's just a couple of paragraphs and then QR code for more information, for sure no one's going to read that.
Well, I understand that, but if there's some sort of signage, like general signage that gives an overview that's not attached to a pylon, and then, I mean, if you cut that, what I'm seeing here, if you even cut that in half, that's a lot to read.
And just special notes, just special highlights. And what I suggested is putting it in a booklet and putting it in the historic museum, so that if you want to read more, go over there and get the little pamphlet and read it. Nobody's going to walk along there and just read all that stuff, like you're saying. You lose interest after like the first couple of lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I also like the idea of the booklet or download a PDF. I'd be curious what the museum, since some of it's on their property, would say as what they recommend. So I agree, Charlie, that I'm glad you talked to Stephanie, and let's see, what their input is.
Yeah, and I've told Stephanie that I've assured her that from this point on, she'll be she or her designated person, but I'm guessing it's going to be Stephanie, will be part of this conversation. She's definitely going to be on our team. So, and I have one other comment based on your very good minutes from yesterday, Lynn. Thank you so much. I would ask that we ask Dawn to not get estimates on this. If she has ideas of who the fabricators could be, she can tell us that, but we have to be in charge of this project. That's our responsibility, is to find a fabricator.
Okay.
And we can take her suggestions, but she's not to be the one to be in touch with them on our behalf. She has no authorization to do that.
Okay.
She mentioned something that she was getting something else done by somebody. I didn't catch all that, but I thought she brought it up and said that she could get a better price or something. I don't know what the deal was on that.
Well, it's our project. Uh, that's all that I'm going to say. Any other discussion on this? It looks like what we're sort of stuck until we actually see the copy. But it might be good for Lynn and Samantha, since you're our liaisons on this, for you to let Dawn know that the Arts Commission and the History Museum will have final say on this copy. And we're certainly going to respect the tribe's input, and we will work with the tribe ourselves if that's helpful. You know, I can talk to Brandon Radin, the historical preservation officer. We can talk to Jennifer Keating. We can talk to tribal council members. So, and it certainly is our prerogative and our responsibility as the Arts Commission who's funding this to do that.
Yeah.
Does anybody have, before we get quotes, you know, if we're going to be getting the quotes on fabrication, does anybody have a resource of someone who can test the format before we get a quote on format for ADA compliance?
Molly, do we have someone on city staff that can do that?
I know Jeff is all about ADA of stuff on the ground, but I don't know about like verbiage.
The only thing that we would do is just read the state statutes or the RCWs or WACs or the guidelines for ADA compliance.
Do you know what the RCW is on that, Molly?
No, not a clue.
Could Josh or somebody link us to that? That's a great idea, Samantha. And
Okay.
Stephanie might also
Yeah,
have.
Washington State art have all that.
Robin, do you have any contacts on the State Arts Commission for that?
Well, I have a few contacts, so I'll certainly ask.
Okay, I know.
I was sure that they could recommend quite a few people, so I will check. I'll put that on my to-do list.
Please. And also see if they maybe have fabricators for this kind of signage. The only people I can think of are people like the ones that do plaques on headstones or something like in a cemetery or something like that.
Yeah.
Although I know there are other, there are lots of plaques around that have historical information on them. So
Yeah, Molly or Lynn, can you send me the slides or the pictures so I can put one or two in my email? That way they'll understand what I'm talking about.
Everyone.
Did they? Okay.
No, I will forward it to everyone if it's okay with Lynn.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
great.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the terrain around these pylons, it's pretty clear they're not ADA compliant. You know, there's probably all levels of ADA, right? But not in the way the sidewalk has to be ADA compliant. So
Right.
I just wonder if that changes once we put something on it. I don't know.
yeah, interesting.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Okay, so where are we with that? Who's investigating that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things too that just came up to my mind. Who's going to maintain the property around there and make sure that there's no little trees growing up around it?
That's
And
Parks.
keeping the grass? Yeah,
Parks
and somebody is doing that, right?
That's Parks Department.
And
Or-
they are doing that.
We have to be
Are
extremely.
they aware of this?
We have to be extremely careful because of the shoreline management. So yeah, it's up to our department, Parks Department, to maintain that area, but it's supposed to be maintained with, you know, natural vegetation, and they have to be extremely careful what they do. I mean, there is the one little gravel trail that they're allowed to keep clear, but it's a sticky wicket.
I bet it is. I bet it is. So there was two notes that I wanted. If we accept these minutes, I wanted to make two notes on them to amend them. So first one is to change my name to the way it's spelled, and then the other one is to add that part
Sorry.
that we did discuss, the numbering of the things.
Linda, I misspelled your name.
Yes,
Sorry.
twice,
I
twice.
slapped these things together quickly yesterday.
It was
Yeah,
darn
good
spell check.
job.
It was that darn.
Where did I say? What did I do? Oh,
You have Sutherland instead of Sutherland.
oh, is it SU? SU?
Yeah.
I think I had a mental note to go back and check, but I was in such a hurry to get these done that yeah. Is it SUTH?
Correct, correct.
So yeah, and good catch, Linda. And we haven't been able to approve these yet. So Lynn, can you make those?
Yeah, just,
Changes
I'm
in
writing
it.
notes.
Will-
Linda's name. And wait, what else did you say, Linda?
We did talk about the numbering thing, and I think, shouldn't that be in there since that's big old discussion point? We said it was like, we went through all of this stuff and the group discussion, and just add under like the discussion, I think, maybe that we wanted to put the mark, that we did discuss that some kind of numbering on it.
Right.
We don't know who got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Got that, Lynn?
Yeah, got it. So who's following up on the ADA part? Robin, is that you?
That's me. I'll ask, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm gonna ask, we have someone who's head of public art for the state.
Great.
And I'll ask them. I would think they would know.
Good.
And I've got a feeling because it's something out in the middle of the, kind of like the boonies like that, that there's going to have a different, it's going to have a different set of criteria for ADA than it would if it was in a public building or on a
Yeah,
sidewalk. It's not going to be as strict.
it's not gonna be like if there's a statue and you have to have X amount of clearance and level ground. I mean, I think you're right. But we'll find out. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of existing in the landscape itself, so.
Great. Okay. And do we want to still see for us commissioners to actually see a copy of the RCW that has ADA compliance, or?
Oh yeah, I can find out what that is.
Okay. Lynn, does that answer your question about ADA?
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or any other discussion? Well, this was lively. This was very good. Gosh, everybody, I really appreciate your input and your real thoughtful comments on this. So we are coming to the end of our agenda for today. Any comments from commissioners?
I did have something that I wanted to share with you guys, but I forget what it is.
What?
Forgive me.
Well, we have an hour for you to think about it.
About my allergies. I mean, it's just my head is foggy, but I'll see if I can remember before we sign off.
Oh no. That's why I have to write everything down.
Is let's see, I don't, I do maybe have one little update on the our proposed comp plan amendment. Also at Monday's City Council meeting, Council approved a contract with a contractor whom they have hired to give them help with processing two proposed amendments, one of which is a land use amendment, and then the other of which is our arts and culture amendment. So the contractor is hired, and Carl DeSimis, who's the city planner in charge of comp plans. And I have had a conversation, and I've told him that we arts commissioners, and Robin, especially you and I, will be available to answer any questions that he has on our proposed amendment.
Great.
The contract reads that the contractor will have everything finished by September. So hopefully we'll be moving forward on that.
Okay, that's great. That's great news. I
And
remembered what I wanted to share. Yay. Um, so I don't know how many of you are aware. I mean, I know everybody's aware of Metropolitan Market moving in. And next door, there's a across the street in that shopping center, which is, what is that called? The that has like all the
Uptown,
Yeah.
thank you.
Uptown,
Uptown, there's a store called the Garden Room. That is moving next door to the Met Market. There's a storefront in there that they're moving into, which I'm sure they're thrilled about. And moving into to their space is something called Paper Delights, which is a store that's in Fircrest area, Tacoma, that has Paper Delights. They've done art classes and calligraphy and all sorts of things like that. They also have a children's store, and they also have like a home goods store, entertaining store, all right, lined up right there. They're moving in, they're doing an additional store in that space. The mother is from Gig Harbor, of the woman who owns the store. So they're going to be moving into that space. And we just recently did a book signing with the new book that my company has out. And I also talked to the owner when they get here about that we'd like to meet her, the Arts Commission, because maybe there's a way that we can partner on some of these art courses. So, or just support her in, offering them. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
that's exciting. Will they have,
Great. Thank
will
you.
they have all different kinds of lovely papers?
Yes. Yes. Not like an art store would, but they have cards, and they have some paper and a lot of, calendars, diaries, other things like that, art supplies, etc.
Isn't that a national chain? And are they a franchise then?
Paper Delights? I don't think
Yeah.
so. No, I don't think so. There's
Nope.
one
Okay.
called, there's Paper Lux. Well, wait, hold it. Paper Delights is in Burien. There's a lot of paper things. Paper Lux, I'm sorry, Paper Lux is the one in Fircrest, and they're the ones moving in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Paper
Yeah, I
Lux.
know. I think we used to have them in Detroit.
There was
I think.
something called Paper Source. That's a national.
Yeah, maybe that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Maybe
enough.
so.
And,
But these
and
are
there
local stores.
and there used to be a paper zone in Tacoma, and also one up kind of by the airport.
Yeah, and they closed.
I
Yeah.
know, I loved them.
Well,
I
you'll
love this love of material, culture, and paper. There's a lot of love for paper on this webinar.
I know, a lot of people love. And I told them that we've needed a store like that in Gig Harbor forever, so they're moving into a really nice space as well, because where the Garden Room wasn't exactly a bad space. It was, right in the middle, smack middle of Uptown. So, and right down from, I think, Greenhouse. So anyway, this is to say, some potential for some sort of, space or person who brings in people to do less of the oil painting type of thing that the Peninsula League does so well, Art League does so well, but more of the, I want to learn how to watercolor or do calligraphy, that type.
Nice.
Robin, did you
Yes.
say Paper Love or Paper Lux?
Paper Lux, Luxe.
Cool, great. Speaking of Uptown, I've been in real close contact with the Make Music Day group, Barbara Hammerman and Amanda Gresham. And they are really moving right along. That event, as you remember, is going to be on summer solstice, June 21st, which is a Monday.
Right.
And the entire event this year will take place in the Uptown Shopping Center area. And they're going to have at least three, maybe four stages,
Oh, wow.
including, I think, sort of a jam session area where people can come and just make music together. And then several stages where professional musicians and aspiring musicians will actually be booked into a segment to play. So it's exciting. And I just yesterday sent Barbara Hammerman contact information for 4 bluegrass bands
Oh,
that I'm friends with. So,
Nice.
so
I love seeing our projects take flight. This is so
Yeah.
exciting.
I know, I thought you'd like to know that. So, and I'll keep you posted on that. Lynn, your group is going to perform, I think, your ukulele group somehow.
I said we'd like to be part of the Song Farmers, mashup
Yeah.
jam. So not quite, I don't like to call it a performance. No, that sort of implies captive audience, and I require audience participation. So yeah, but yes, we'll be involved. Yeah.
Fun.
I think it's going to be great fun. And it's on a Monday, so that, might be, in some ways problematic, but I think it'll be a wonderful inaugural event for something that I know Barbara and Amanda are really hoping can be an annual thing in Gig Harbor. So yeah, that's our creative endeavor grant dollars at work.
Yeah.
That June 21st, did you say, summer solstice?
Yes. So anything else for the good of the order? Anybody working on projects that are specifically inviting, exciting? In the past, we
Well,
had,
I'll do some shameless self-promotion.
oh, please, yeah.
Company, where Bloom Imprint has published its first book called Where We Bloom, and it's spaces where people, flower studios and farms and florists and stores where people, the spaces where they create, and we've done and gotten a really nice response.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
Congratulations. That's
Where can
fabulous.
we find this book, Robin?
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, yes. As part of shameless self-promotion, you can find it on bloomimprint.com. I'm happy to send everybody a link if you would like.
Please, yes.
All right.
Yeah,
But
it looks
lovely.
wonderful.
Some of these spaces are just amazing.
Wow.
And there's this one that I have to tell you I'm in love with in Woodinville. They're all over and some are in Canada, but look at this space in Woodinville.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
Yeah. And it's all made of recycled material.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh my
Is someone
God.
using it as a studio, a creative studio? Or
Yeah, it's a floral studio.
a floral studio. Yeah.
So basically, a lot of people do classes there or workshops. She actually, I mean, she told us that she's open to people, using it. So, but it's just, there's a lot of beautiful spaces from all over the country in there. So anyway.
Wow, that's amazing. Good work, Robin. Wow.
Congrats.
I want to see the link.
Okay, I will send a link out.
Very cool.
Great, great. Anything else, Molly? Anything from you that this is your next to the last meeting with us?
Ah.
Ooh.
Boo.
Any idea?
I second the boo. Oh.
She's going to miss us. We're the only thing she's going to miss.
For about 2 seconds, she'll miss us.
Yeah.
I've been a lot of things.
Oh, God, that's huge.
No kidding. Wow.
Are you having a retirement party ceremony?
No, COVID.
No.
Not allowed.
What?
They may
Oh,
have
that's
a
true.
Zoom. No, they talked about having a Zoom meeting where you'd all be invited, but I don't know. I'm not.
It's not the same.
And everybody bring their own cookies and wine, right?
You sit at your, that's right. You sit at your computer at home and toast me or roast me, whatever you want to do.
Oh, it's terrible.
Uh,
Well, commissioners, we have to scheme some way that we can
mm.
give Molly her just desserts.
When it opens back up again, you'll see me at all the farmers market and you'll see me at the concerts and I'll feel free to go travel about the world again and not have this
Yeah,
political cloud.
dark cloud.
You'll be able to say whatever you want.
I will going to learn to just shut up and smile.
Maybe you should start a blog.
No. No, because I would have a couple glasses of wine and then I go, nope. I should not go there.
That's funny. Okay, well, our next meeting is June 9th. And hope that we get to see everybody there. Does anyone have like big travel plans or happy Mother's Day to anybody who qualified for those? Robin, I know you had wonderful pictures on
Oh,
Facebook.
yeah. If I ever thought I'd be sitting there with my husband's ex-wife holding grandkids, that you would have like
Wow.
knocked me over, but it happened. Um,
Good.
um, I am going to be in Philadelphia June 9th, but I think I'll be able to jump on. So not, it's Philadelphia Flower Show moved outside this year to deal with COVID. Usually they're in February and they turned around and did the whole thing outside in a park. So, and my sister's in Philly, so I'm gonna go there, but
Neat.
I'll try to hop on.
Great. Yeah, please, because your input is always so important to us.
Thank you, but we all do it together. It's great. And I'm sure that I could, Zoom works everywhere. So, and
Yeah.
especially since it's Molly's last meeting, how could I miss
I
it?
know. I know. Gosh. Anybody else have travel plans?
I'm at the end of June. We're going 2 weeks to the East Coast to see family. And then my daughter is going to a sea turtle camp, which is amazing. And so for the first time in 15, 16 months, my husband and I are going in one direction for vacation and my daughter is going in another direction for camp. And so, yeah, it will be the first time that we have not had just one little bitty wall separating us in a very
Yay.
long time.
It's a
Exciting.
sea turtle camp.
Yeah, she wants to be a marine biologist. So we found the camp on the East Coast in the North Carolina.
Savannah? Mm,
Pardon?
in Savannah?
No, it's actually in North Carolina, this little place called it's spelled Topsail. I haven't been there, but I think they pronounce it Topsail. Anyway, they have a sea turtle rehabilitation, like a conservation lab there. And
They
we get
have
to go
one in
out on
Georgia. They have one in Georgia that is fabulous. And they offer education, degrees and stuff there. So it's a really nice place.
She might end up there.
It's a
She's
good
only
one.
15 right now.
Nice.
And they have a great art college there too.
Yep.
How old is your daughter?
She is 15. She'll be 14. She'll be 15 by the time we travel.
How wonderful. My brother's a was a marine biologist. So there's a special.
Hopefully, you want us to stop talking about personal business on city.
Wait, during the meeting. And
Oh
then
yeah, adjourn. Move to adjourn. Anybody?
Yes, Samantha moves to adjourn.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we can stop recording and then chat.